Hey guys, I announced a Q&A a while back, and I'm finally getting around to answer your questions. I received a ton of them from you guys, and I cannot thank you enough for all your support. Without further delay, it's time for answers. Which Thomas and Friends character is your favorite? Isn't it obvious? Duck, of course. Which Thomas episodes are your favorites? Gallon Old Engine is my favorite. I'll get into more detail later in the video, but because this says episodes, some of my other favorites are A Friend in Need, The Runaway Elephant, The World's Strongest Engine, Make Someone Happy, Thomas and the Rumors, and Donald's Duck. Do you know who Yongkag Gore is? If you do you listen to them? No, I don't, sorry. What is your favorite video that you made from each year? I'll start from 2021, as that was the year I rebranded this channel. My favorite would probably be Slow Down Oliver. It was my first original story I wrote, even before NW Tales was a thing. Of course, I had to adapt it. Fun fact, this story is free to adapt for everyone, and you can find it alongside my others in my link tree, which is in my channel's homepage. Just make sure to credit me. Back to the topic. 2022, my favorite would probably be the NW short, Thomas's Young Days. I love the idea so much, and I think that it came out great. 2023, I'll say the Wisconsin experience. It was fun to do something different, and make a hype video in a way. And 2024, I'll say Don't Cross Duck. It was fun to change things up a bit. Nothing I'll do again, but it was a nice change of pace from the usual video. I can't say anything for 2025, as the year hasn't really happened at the time of this video. What was the easiest video you've ever made? I would personally say the Q&A announcement, but that's cheating. In all honesty, the Customs in the Yard episodes where there isn't a set and sound effects, those were super simple to do. Just film footage and narration, edit the clips together, add music, make the thumbnail, and done. Another easy one I'd say are my unboxing and purchase videos. Those don't have too much to them. Do you ever plan on making more mainland custom engines? For example, engines from the GWR, LNER, Southern, LMS, or even BR. Not really. I'd like to stick to Soda engines, but some of the mainland RWS characters and Duchess aren't out of the question. Do you plan to make more ducks to add to your duck army? I've got a few ideas. Easiest one I want to do currently is a weather duck. Just take duck and make them look all dirty. Can you help me? I accidentally locked myself out of my own car, so can I borrow a small loan of $8 billion for a cab, my good amigo? Why, of course! Anything to help a friend in need. You see what I did there? I did a Thomas reference. Which spooky Thomas episode is your favorite? Probably Scaredy Engines. It's a good story. Love it when a character gets karma. What's your favorite TWR destination? That's a good one. I'd say the Soda Scrub and Shine. Such a random and cool one. What is your favorite Thomas Wooden Railway character? Another good one. This is tough. I really liked Big City Engine. They did a fantastic job for a nothing character. What's your favorite custom you've made? I'd say the Post Fan. It came out so good in the end. I tried multiple new techniques with it, and I'm glad I went through all the effort to do it. Rebecca is another one of my favorites, even if she is looking a little dated. What's the hardest part about making a video for you? To be honest, motivation. It takes so long to make a video sometimes. Script writing is somewhat hard, mainly when it's an episode, but when I have an idea, it's not bad. Filming is tough for Wooden Railway content. Putting the set up, filming for a bit, taking it down, building another set, and repeating until I finish. It is a tad boring at times. And don't even mention editing. Almost every video I edit is a nightmare, including this one. I have to drag and drop all these different things into the video and make sure everything is properly timed correctly. The biggest factor to be able to get all this done is motivation. I try to get this done all while life happens. Life shenanigans always come before this hobby, so when I have to make a video, it feels like such a chore. Editing is a very close second. It's hard, but it's worth it in the end. What's your favorite video you've made overall so far? I'd say The Life of Duck. How it came out was perfect in my eyes. How many Douglases do you own? I own 3. Trackmaster, Wooden Railway, and Take Along. Will you make more Somewhere Wales characters? No, Dylan was just a one-time thing. However, if Quirk somehow is possible, I'm making it. It's the best logo of the game. Will you ever do 3D prints again? Okay, I've had a lot of questions about this on other videos, so let me explain. First, no, this does not impact my commissions. I am happy to do a commission for you if you wish. Second, when I said I'd stop doing 3D prints, I meant it as in, I'd like not to overuse it. It's gotten to the point where a good majority of my customs are 3D prints. However, I'd like to use it as a tool for customs, such as making things like snowplows. I'm also planning to use it still for a few more things like updating old stuff and such, but the 3D printed bodies aren't gone, more like pushed to the side. I also meant it in a sense of how I wasn't going to show off any more 3D prints and customs in the yard. which I've since ended. What is your favorite railway? I've been a Southern guy as of late, although the LMS is one I do love. Favorite class of engine, tank engine and tender. I do love a GWR 1361, but Terriers are also up there. Tender engines, a Southern N15 is my favorite, with a Midland 2P and an LMS 8F not far behind. Do you see Tugs and Thomas together in the same universe if they could bring back the model series? No, Tugs is a dead show that failed. It's not going to be canon. The only reason we have Big Mickey is because we were very spoiled in the Brenner era. It would be cool to see, but Tugs just would not work with Thomas. Who inspired you to make your series? Many people, but Thomas Winrelli was number one. When I first started the series, I had a similar setup to him, a layout in the living room of my house. I have a few others, but the main ones are Enterprising Engines 93, NWR 1991, Milk Tanker Media, and Carson's Video Workshop. Why did you punch me? Did you get the letter from my lawyer? When will you send the money for my hospital? Did you get the letter from my lawyer? No comment. Out of all your customs, which 4 are your favorites? Postfan, Rebecca, Bear, and Ryan. If you had to own versions of the Thomas and Friends model series movies and episodes, which ones would you pick? I'm not entirely sure what this question means, but I think it's what specific DVDs and VHSs I would like to own, specifically model series titles. Truth is, I already have every single model series DVD, minus Thomas's Christmas Wonderland, which will take forever to find anyway. Sure do wish that we got Thomas Meets the Queen on DVD. As for VHSs, I'm not really into collecting that type of stuff. I have some, but not as much as the DVDs. I like to pour my heart and soul into them. Which 2 characters from Thomas and Friends, other than those from Tidmouth Sheds, would you like to give more screen time to? Duck is my number 1. I would have loved to see more stories on his branch line. Mavis is my number 2, as she was really pushed as the female character for a bit in marketing. I would have loved to see more stories featuring her. If you were in the Thomas and Friends universe, what class of engine would you be? Good question. I like to be a pannier, specifically one with a number 8 on his side. Wait. What's your favorite American engine? I do love a good Berkshire. 765 is my favorite. What's that? Hang on guys, I'm getting a call. Hello?
When you say 765, you really mean Nickel Plate Road 765? But one of the greatest American locomotives is obviously the P-42s, you idiot!
Actually guys, I like the P-42. How do I get my friends not to be chronic Thomas fans? This is a tough process, but it can be done. First, make sure to worship P-42s. Also, make sure to complain a lot about Kato P-42s, and how they are super hard to DC C-fit because they use coreless motors rather than your conventional brush DC permanent magnet motors. Make sure to be good at wiring layouts too, and be an Amtrak fanboy. Hope this helps! Where do you get your stuff? eBay mostly, although Mercari, Amazon, train shows, thrift stores, and antique malls also come in clutch. Outside of yourself, who was your favorite Thomas YouTuber? I would be lying if I said that The Unlucky Tug was one of my favorites. I also like Carson's Video Workshop, Suttery Station Master, Caleb Train, Sutter Island Studios, Geo, Jay Louvier, William Politeski, Trainbrand 06, and The Wooden Wilbur. Check all them out, especially the smaller channels I've shouted out. Who would win in a race? George or Buster the Steamroller? Buster. He's the fastest steamroller in the world. Who would win in a fight? George or Buster the Steamroller? George. He's got the experience. What are your thoughts on Jack in the Pack? I love it. It's insanely good. It's a shame hit Baka Lane when they did. I would have loved to see it continue. Who is your favorite sports team? I'm a huge NFL guy, so my favorite team is the Philadelphia Eagles. I also watch college football, mostly the Big Ten. Penn State is my favorite in that division. I also somewhat watch the NBA, and there, I root for the Phoenix Suns. What are your thoughts on Robert Hartshorn and Chris Brenshaw's music for Thomas and Friends? I think the Hartshorns did a fine job overall. There's a few duds, but they mostly made some good themes. Renshaw, I'm not as much of a fan. His stuff feels too whimsical and more generic compared to the previous stuff, which made everything seem grand and easily memorable. Like, when was the last time you were humming a theme from the later seasons of Thomas? That's what makes Hartshorn, alongside Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell, really memorable. Aside from Thomas and Friends, what other franchises do you like? I'm huge into Animal Crossing, love the games. When I'm into it, I also like Mario. Wallace and Gromit are also a fun one to watch periodically. Pingu is another one. It's super clever how the characters speak gibberish, or as they call it, Penguinese. Mattel really won by getting Artemin to make a new Pingu series. That was an insane announcement. What is your favorite episode of your series so far? The Life of Duck. The story is inspired by a personal journey of mine, and even if it was so big that it had to be split in two, it came out perfect in the end, and I am so happy that the reception was positive. Who is a character that was severely underused? They have so much potential it is frustrating that they were not used as much as they were. I'd say Stanley. They had him be the main secondary character in a special and then pushed him to the side. Way to go, guys. Who is a character you would not change anything about them? They were used pretty much perfectly. Probably Stepney. He always stayed consistent. Who was a character that was very overused? It made you upset that they appeared so much and overshadowed the others. I'd say Philip. They really pushed him for some reason in seasons 19 to 22, and I don't get why. Why can't we have a Stanley episode instead of a Philip? Oh wait, that's right, because Philip is dumb. It makes for more interesting stories. What inspired you to do 3D print custom commissions? Okay, so with this, I'll also talk about how I came to do 3D printed customs. I looked at the printer at my school at work my freshman year. Then the guy who runs them came and asked me if I'd like to use it. And after that, I had my very first print. This truck. After that, I printed so many things. Eventually, people in the fandom were asking me if they could pay me to buy the prints. I did a trial run with a few items and it went well. So well that they wanted more. That summer, I invested in my own printer and officially opened a shop with improved pricing. I upgraded to a different printer shortly after since the old one kept giving me trouble, and now the business is going well. By the way, if you'd like a 3D printed body seen in my videos, you can commission me. See my ad for more. Do you think you will still go on to love Thomas at the end of your days, even if it's just going to be all engines go from now on, whether you like the reboot or not? Probably not. I definitely feel myself losing steam. While I have ideas, I definitely think other interests are starting to take my life over. That's not to say I'm done, but when I do end up quitting, I feel like I've done everything I've always wanted to. Okay, so the next one is a bit long, so I'll summarize this. Basically, it's the same question about if I like other franchises, which I've answered, but it also asks if I would be interested in making content for it. To that, I say no, mostly because I don't think I could garner the same success as Thomas. There's countless other people who have made essay-style videos, and I'd just be another one. I could say the same thing about Thomas, but I know more about what people would want to watch Thomas-wise than Nintendo. Out of all the customs you made, which ones were the hardest, and were there any you gave up on or got burned out on? I'd say that Pug was the hardest one to do, mostly because he was my first scratch build. I was planning on a Jones Goods engine, but that pretty much stopped due to having bad orange paint and not being able to secure a 2000 Gordon. I also had ideas for an Alfred custom and some other things in a notebook, like the little blue engine, who I named Eric, and this random purple diesel named Fairy I created. I also planned to move to Gauge 1 after Scarloey. Duck was in the works until I canceled because the files were insanely inaccurate. Thomas, Edward, James, Stepney, Oliver, Peter Sam, Duke, Diesel, Airy, Bert, even Paxton were all considered. I stopped because I was burned out and quit Gauge 1 modeling. More on that later. What's a custom you would love to do in the future but might not be able to do it due to limitations on either the materials you have or the lack of right materials to use? I'd say my Jones Goods engine. I would love to do it, but I'd want to paint it orange. Since I'd like to hand paint my customs, I just can't find a good enough orange paint to use. I also like to create an 8F, but that's not happening anytime soon just because I don't feel like it. Do you like Tomy/Playrel/Trackmaster? It's actually my second favorite range and takes up a lot of my storage. I have a ton of items and I'm still looking to expand it. Why is Duck your favorite character? Duck has always been my favorite. I can't really explain it, but everything about him is just so cool. His fascination with what's beyond the horizons is also a character trait I really like. Also, his prop and faces are great. Gordon or Henry? Henry 100%. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed, but I know Henry did, and I get out of bed. He feels so much more relatable to me thanks to his journey, where he struggled constantly, but persevered, and became a more powerful and stronger engine in the end. One of Audrey's greatest. Do you like Gordon? Gordon is alright. Not one of my favorites, but he's up there. His theme is great though. What's your dog's name? Hey, wait a minute. All these questions break my rules. Well, I guess I'll have to do something about this. What was your inspiration for the Vicarstown Spectre? That was a shower thought. You know when you're in the shower and then you get the best ideas since sliced bread? Yeah, that's how it came to be. I wanted to write a Spencer story and a Rosie story. I thought mostly about Spencer, but Rosie and Vicarstown was in the back of my mind. Then I thought of Spencer and a ghost. It was at that point when I came up with the Vicarstown Spectre as a title. So I combined my Spencer and Rosie stories, wrote it, and voila! I'm happy with how it came out. Even if I had to refilm all the night scenes about a month before its release due to them coming out poorly originally. One of my favorites for sure. Who is your favorite season 6 to 7 character? I'd say Murdoch. He's a very nice gentle giant, a perfect personality choice for a 9F. Wish they would have kept his red though. Favorite piece of Thomas merch that you own or would like to own? Right now, I like this factory sample Butch, and when I get Action Canyon, it's over for y'all. Least favorite character? That would go to Emily. I feel like she was just a bossy know-it-all engine, something that doesn't fit right given her basis. If she had a different personality, I'd probably like her. A Sterling single as a character was a good decision though. Thoughts on AEG Duck? Can't say anything, since at the time of this video, nothing of him in the show has come out, but the push-along toy looks really good. What got you into Thomas? My brother started it. He got many take-along and wooden railway toys, then I got into it at the age of 2 and continued it. Trackmaster was where I was going for a little, but I always made wooden railway layouts with my dad. The only difference between me and my brother is he got out of it, I didn't. Why wooden railway? I just have everything necessary for wooden railway, compared to things like HO or Trackmaster. I had all the necessary locations and every engine wooden railway ever made. Plus, I'm more experienced in making customs with them. And it's a lot easier than filming with Trackmaster or model trains. What made you want to make a series? It was always my dream to do a series. I would film my own stories on my parents' phones and iPads as if I was making my own series. Of course, they weren't any noteworthy stories, just me and my imagination. Eventually, I got a YouTube account and wanted to get serious. After a few attempts, I finally decided 1 year to go for it, and filmed it and a bunch of adaptations in the summer. The rest, as they say, is history. Personal favorite Thomas video? Worth It by William Politeski. I don't know why I hesitated watching it, but 2 days after its release I watched it, and it's such a good video. It may be character dialogue for 10 minutes, but everything about it, the writing, the visuals, the acting, the music, it's perfect. Definitely something I'll recommend again and again. First Thomas episode and toy. I can't tell you what my first Thomas toy was, as I inherited my brother's collection. But my first episode from memory was Edward Helps Out. Go figure, the first 2 Railway series stories were my first ever episodes I watched. I guess it was meant to be. Alternative companies for Thomas? I'm going to make a video on this sometime soon, but one thing is for sure, Hasbro would make it like Paw Patrol, not a good owner. I definitely think Mattel can turn the brand around and think they should keep it, but if I had to choose, Thomas should be owned by Sony Creative. This might seem a bit strange, but don't worry, I'll explain in my video. What are your thoughts on King of the Railway and Tale of the Brave? King of the Railway was alright, and I've never watched Tale of the Brave. And how'd you react when Victor was the yellow engine in Blue Mountain Mystery? Can't remember honestly, but it's cool that Victor got a backstory. Do you prefer Thomas with a dipped or flat running board? Dipped running board. Which shape do you think is better for Edward? The Furnace Railway K2 shape, or a shape he has both in the books and the show? The one he has in the show. Do you think Gordon having a rebuild at Crew is overrated nowadays? No, it makes sense. Gordon would be getting older, some new parts would be just what he needs. Do you plan on making Donald and Douglas blue? No, but I can't say I don't like the livery, it's pretty nice. What are your takes on 98462 and 87546? I don't know, I'm not really into them like others are. Probably what Audrey made up for them, how they were on loan and were sent away for being rude engines. What are your thoughts on the hit 2013 movie Freebirds? Peak cinema. It literally is the best film ever. No one can change my mind. Who made your profile picture? That was made by... Who's that guy again? I met up with him once and then... I do wish I knew his name. I honestly am drawing a blank right now. Casually, will you marry me? This question is too inappropriate. I'm gonna tell my mom. Arthur, am I right? No. Can you tell me the story of how I met your mother? Why, of course. So, it all started with... And that's how I met your mother. Who was the Prime Minister of New Zealand? Christopher Luxon, who was originally at Air New Zealand. Funniest person in Obama? You know the right answer. So for those who don't know, this is kind of out of context. This is a group chat that I'm in, and I have to say, I am the funniest person in Obama. Can you make a TWR adaptation of Flight of the Conchords? I honestly would, but Enterprising Engines beat me to that. Sad. You heard of Mae Whitman? No, sorry. What were your biggest inspirations for customs and videos in general? For videos, I'd say Thomas Wooden Railway, Enterprising Engines 93, Diesel D199, the Thomas Creator Collective, and Phantom Thomas 31. For customs, I would say Turtles and Thomas, Hero the Japanese Train, and Oliver Duck. Reboot superior or original superior? I'll always be a fan of the original. Favorite character that deserves to enter the TV series? I'll give 3 answers. For a character that should have appeared in the model series, I would choose Bear. Surprised they never adapted Super Rescue. For the CGI series, I would say Duke. One of my favorite videos in the fandom is The Duke and the Earl by I Love Trains 323. It's a really good way to introduce Duke to the CGI world. And for AEG, why isn't Rebecca in it yet? Favorite Thomas movie, episode, and season? My favorite movie is Here Are the Rails. I would definitely show this to someone who has never seen Thomas before. It's honestly super good and a great kickoff to a new era of Thomas. Now I can finally explain why I love Gallant Old Engine. Unlike episodes like it, Rheneas has more at stake here. Edward's exploit, Edward could have easily given up since the other engines could go and get him. Percy's promise, someone could have pulled him out of the water. For little engines, by the time Skarloey breaks his spring, there are 2 more engines on the line. Rheneas, he's literally the only one that could do it, but he's got a jammed valve gear. He pushes through all the pain, all the struggling, all the effort, just for the sake of others. It's truly commendable work, and it's an amazing story, one that shows that persevering is worth it in the end. Finally, my favorite season is 5. I love the lighting and visuals of it, alongside the camera angles of the engines while traveling. Just wish there were more moving shots like this that weren't just the engines traveling. What camera do you use? I use a Sony Handycam, while using my phone for shots that aren't on sets. Although, in my opinion, phone cameras have gotten really good to the point where you don't need to spend extra on a camera. Sure, it looks nice, but if you're beginning, start with your phone or tablet. What range do you think accurately depicted Duck? Bachman. What stores did you get Thomas merch from back in the day? Mostly Toys R Us, Barnes & Noble, and Target. Aren't you glad you hit 2K? Hilarious. If you had the opportunity to build a replica of any prop used on the show, which one would it be and why? I've already built Skarloey, but of course I'd love to do Duck. He's my favorite character after all. What's your favorite class of diesel and electric engines? My favorite diesel engines are the Hymix, or Class 35s. They just look amazing. The air doesn't influence me here. A close second would be the Class 66. I don't particularly look at electric engines, but GG1s and NER number 1 look nice. A lot of Japan's electrics are pretty cool too, I can't lie. What's your opinion on Duck with yellow wheels? It's fine, reminds me of the Golden Bear model. Favorite CGI episodes? Wayward Winston, the Archdale episodes, and Luke's new friend. Any unpopular opinions? 2 Henry Theories is stupid, so does Legend of the Lost Treasure is overrated, but I see the hype. The AEG toys are actually good, and That's What Friends Are For has a valid reason for cancellation. Which characters match your personality the most, / which ones do you find the most relatable? Talk to both of those. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Which episodes are stupid yet funny / entertaining? I go for a lot of the Nitrogen episodes. Happy Birthday Sir is my biggest pick, of course. Missy Allen Rescue and Day of the Diesels I'd also choose. Some of the blatant diesel bullying can get a good chuckle out of me. Top 14 Thomas specials? I've already stated Here Are the Rails is my favorite, but since I'm lazy, here's a tier list. Have you ever watched Tugs? Yes, it's actually a great show. I wish it did get picked up, but the way it was branded definitely did not help it. I mean, would a 7 or 8 year old really want to watch something branded as related to Thomas the Tank Engine? Favorite RWS book? My favorite is Mountain Engine. I think it's a cool story about a very obscure part of Sodor. How many 3D printed customs do you think you've made in total? I'd say over 70. How would you rank seasons 1 through 5 of TTTE? In order, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2. Can you send me all your money, please? Nah, I'll take yours though. Are you going to make another Customs in the Yard episode? Nope, the series is officially done. Are you going to make customs of American engines? Most likely not, although I have considered an American Duck in the future. Do you like Disney cars? Yes, the first movie has a really great story. I love it just for that. The second movie was a little detour, but it's a fun adventure, although they totally screwed over the universe. And the third is basically what Cars 2 should have been. The story is great. I just watched this recently and I have no regrets. The miniseries are okay, don't really watch them though, but Mater and the Ghostlight is a funny short. I used to be a big Cars diecast guy. They are somewhere. Maybe one day I'll get them out again. Fun fact, I ditched Thomas for a while and became a Cars guy, then came to my senses once more. Favorite Bachman Thomas character? Probably Daisy. She's such a smooth runner. Ryan also is up there, alongside Donald and Douglas. I don't own Rebecca yet, but from what I've seen, she looks like she is going to be a favorite of mine. Who is better, Neville or Dennis? This is a hard one, both are pretty much nothing characters. So I'll go off looks. I'll have to give it to Dennis, he looks very interesting. Neville is a very close second though. Favorite TV show and movie that isn't Thomas related? TV show, it would have to be Ted Lasso. Everything is perfectly written. I highly recommend it if you are the correct age, since there are multiple mature aspects about the show. My favorite movie is Wonder. I read the book before the movie existed, and this was such a great adaptation. Fantastic casting too. Owen Wilson strangely works as the dad character. I'm not sure about the prequel though. Seems kinda unnecessary to connect a story to something completely unrelated. Favorite RWS story? Devil's Back. It's a fitting end to Patrick's story, and I think it's a good character redemption story. Check out the Thomas Cynic's video on it. Favorite singer / artist / band? I like classic rock. Some of my favorite bands are the Beatles, Men at Work, Toto, and pretty much anything else from the 60s to the 80s, with some 90s stuff. I'm a fan of Elton John, Jack Johnson, and Bob Marley, and again, pretty much anything else from the 60s to the 80s, with some 90s stuff. Least favorite video? The NW Tales Direct from 2022. It was poorly thrown together. There won't be another one thanks to that one. Do you think the Thomas movie will still happen? Absolutely. I'm trusting the process. Also, this isn't your standard wooden railway film that takes 2 months to make. This is a full-blown movie that people are spending millions on. I trust Forster is cooking, but we shouldn't rush them. Most big box films take a lot to make from the ground up. Thoughts on AEG? I personally don't watch it and have no intentions either. I just can't get into it like others have. This isn't my Thomas the Tank Engine, but I've accepted that this is Thomas the Tank Engine. If I have to give some positives, some of the voice actors for the adults are good and a lot of the merch is decent. Thoughts on Hit Entertainment and what are your favorite brands other than Thomas? I think that they were great owners, really pushed Thomas as a big brand and were able to expand it to new heights. Other than Thomas, I like Pingu and Kipper. I've already talked about the Penguin, so let me talk about this show. It's extremely laid back and relaxing. I watched an episode recently out of nostalgia, and I felt so relaxed. We need more shows like this in the modern day and age. Predictions for the 80th anniversary? Nothing. You heard right. I'm not predicting anything as not to get my hopes up. I'll just let things happen. Favorite Thomas DVD? This is a good one. I'd say Best of Gordon. All the episodes are good picks and the bonus features are good. I wish they would have made special animations like they did with the other best ofs though. The cover art does look amazing though. Why did you end Customs in the Yard? In short, the videos were simple. This past year or so, I've begun making more complex videos that are longer and have more happening than just set the train on the turntable and look at it. What is your favorite prop that you would like to own? Duck, of course. Mavis and Stepney are close seconds. When not working on videos, what can you be found doing? Other than videos in school, usually I'm watching sports or building a Lego. Do you like the Horby Thomas models? Which one is your favorite? I think they are okay. Not my preferred models, but I'm happy they exist. I'd say Thomas or Henry are my favorites. Percy, Stepney, and the Diesel are also up there. Who is your favorite narrator? Alec Baldwin for sure, but George Carlin is up there. Favorite fandom OC? How could I not say Richard? He's such a fun character. I definitely think he should be canon to the show. Other than Duck, who are your favorite characters? Stepney, Mavis, Henry, Rheneas, Peter Sam, Duncan, Donald Douglas, and Murdoch. Thoughts on the Bubba reboot? It's bad. Mattel definitely failed with it. If only they would have given it back to the writers and let them have some control again. All this was avoidable if they had done what they had always had done and not tried to look flashy. Michael White's episodes are the highlights though. Favorite Thomas song? Donald's Duck. Such a catchy song. Although I like a lot of the Thomas songs, with multiple exceptions of course. Do you plan on making the rest of the O-Gauge narrow gauge engines? Simply, no. I have quit Gauge 1 modeling mostly due to how complicated everything is. I just can't do this anymore. And truth be told, I've sold all my Gauge 1 stuff, including Scarloe. They went to good homes though. I like smaller things like HO scale because I actually have room for those. What was the first and most recent Thomas item you ever got? Again, can't tell you the first, but as of the recording of this video, my newest item is this. Thoughts on these goofballs? I already stated the Beatles are one of my favorite bands, and aside from their direct relation to Thomas, I feel like I like them enough to separate Thomas from them. Some of my favorites from them are Octopus's Garden, Lady Madonna, In My Life, and of course, Here Comes the Sun. Who's your favorite model you've made? Out of my current roster of custom models, I'd say the Scottish Twins. They look wonderful with these new faces. Diesel would be my favorite if everything didn't look like crap. Minus the new face, it came out okay. Most wanted Bachmann item? My Bachmann should make videos still stands pretty much. I definitely think one thing I would add is Troublesome Truck number 7. It's about time I get one, and the new 12-ton van is perfect for it. I also would love to see Trevor and N-Scale Edward, alongside some more figure packs like the People of Sodor, which is just general people, maybe Sodor's brass band, or other significant Sodor people, like the Duke and Duchess, the Earl, the Mayor, Miss Jenny, or the Thin Clergyman. Also bring back the McColl's cattle wagon idea. They should also bring back Duncan when feasible. And that's everything. Whew, that was a lot to get through. Again, thank you guys for all the questions you gave me. I know there were a few I didn't get around to, but I didn't answer them because either they broke the rules, already been answered, or just didn't have any idea of what was being asked. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was definitely a long one, and I hope you learned something new about me. That'll be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.